As Halloween approaches, the celebration brings excitement for many, with costumes, decorations, and community gatherings. However, for Muslims, engaging in Halloween raises significant questions rooted in their cultural practices and religious beliefs. Understanding the Islamic perspective on Halloween is crucial, as it involves a deep examination of the faith's teachings and historical context. Halloween's origins trace back to ancient pagan traditions, particularly the Celtic festival of Samhain, which marked the end of the harvest and the onset of winter. This festival involved beliefs that the boundary between the living and the dead was blurred, allowing spirits to roam the earth. Such practices conflict with Islamic teachings, which emphasize a clear distinction between the realms of the living and the afterlife. In Islam, the supernatural is understood through the lens of monotheism and the oneness of Allah, contrasting sharply with the polytheistic and superstitious practices that underpin Halloween. Islam places great importance on maintaining a distinct identity, urging Muslims to adhere to their faith and avoid adopting customs from other religions without discernment. The Quran explicitly advises against following the practices of other faiths indiscriminately. For example, in Surah Al-Baqarah 2-120, it states, "And never will the Jews or the Christians be pleased with you until you follow their religion." This verse underscores the significance of preserving an Islamic identity and being cautious about cultural influences that may lead to moral and spiritual dilution. The themes associated with Halloween, death, horror, and the supernatural can contradict core Islamic beliefs. Islam teaches a profound respect for the afterlife and emphasizes the remembrance of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, remarked, "Remember often the destroyer of pleasures," referring to death. Sunan ibn Majah. This hadith encourages Muslims to reflect on mortality as a means of spiritual growth, rather than celebrating death in a manner that trivializes its seriousness. Moreover, the portrayal of death in Halloween celebrations, often through macabre costumes and imagery, runs counter to the Islamic perspective on death and the afterlife. In Islam, death is viewed as a transition to another existence, where individuals will be held accountable for their actions. Engaging in festivities that glorify or trivialize death can detract from the serious contemplation of one's life and purpose. Halloween often includes costumes that depict violence, horror, and other inappropriate themes. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized the responsibility of parents and guardians in nurturing children within a positive environment. He stated, "Every one of you is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock." Sahih Bukhari. This responsibility extends to ensuring that children are shielded from negative influences and instead are encouraged to engage with values that promote goodness and righteousness. Islamic teachings stress the importance of fostering an environment where children learn to embody virtues such as compassion, empathy, and respect. Allowing them to partake in celebrations that celebrate fear and death may impact their emotional and spiritual development. Engaging in Halloween traditions can also lead to cultural emulation, which is a concern for many Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad warned against imitating non-Muslim practices, stating, "Whoever imitates a people is one of them." Abu Dawud. This highlights the importance of preserving Islamic values and identity, particularly in a multicultural world where the boundaries of cultural influence can blur. By participating in Halloween, Muslims risk adopting customs that may not align with Islamic principles, potentially diluting their faith and identity. This caution is not merely about avoiding specific practices but about fostering a comprehensive understanding of what it means to live as a Muslim in diverse environments. While Halloween may appear to be a lighthearted celebration, it can foster attitudes that contradict Islamic values. Instead of participating in Halloween, many Muslim families create their own traditions that reflect their faith and community. Activities such as organizing community events that celebrate Islamic heritage, storytelling sessions about prophets and righteous figures, or charitable activities serve to reinforce Islamic teachings. These alternatives align with the values of compassion, charity, and community that Islam promotes. For example, hosting a harvest festival centered around gratitude and sharing can provide a wholesome environment for families and children without compromising their faith. In conclusion, the choice not to celebrate Halloween is rooted in a desire to uphold Islamic principles and maintain a distinct identity. The pagan origins of Halloween, the themes of horror and death, and the potential for cultural emulation are all significant factors contributing to this perspective. By understanding the religious teachings and values that inform this decision, individuals can make choices that reflect their faith and strengthen their community identity. Ultimately, Muslims are encouraged to engage in activities that promote goodness, nurture their faith, and align with the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, fostering